Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at another ban wave which has gone on, this time for Simulator. Now as we know, Simulator is one of those game modes which is a little bit up and down when it comes to the botting in it. And it's one of the things that I think we can all agree with has to kind of be stamped out. And the reason for this is because it can be highly abusable with the way that its matchmaking system works. And it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. This is the third kind of massive ban wave that they've done recently. Obviously, the previous ones happening the last month and then this month. And now they're targeting air simulator battles. They've actually banned permanently or temporarily 933 accounts, which is quite a large amount when you think about the percentage player base that Air Simulator has access to. And they've also done it just as the new event comes in, which this new event would have made it super easy for people to bot, especially in Air Simulator. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the Gaijin statement and then give some thoughts about the ban and, well, why it's a positive thing for pretty much everybody. So it starts off, hey everyone, first off, we'd like to express our gratitude to those of you who submit in-game reports on violations, and in doing so inform us about the unfair actions of certain players. We deeply appreciate your willingness to support fair play in all areas of the game. We'd like to let Air Simulator players know and draw attention to the violations that have been seen in this mode. Some players have used the lobby functionally to conduct fixed and arranged matches, with their actions allowing them to gain an illegitimate mission score, which disrupts fair players in this mode. To counter these cases in Air Simulator battles, mission points will no longer be awarded for attacking an enemy airfield on an airfield that had not earned any mission points since their respawn. This is to prevent players on match fix from easily earning mission points in this mode. In addition to this, we've conducted a thorough analysis of the reports we've received and made the decision to permanently or temporarily ban 933 accounts of players who violated section 6.1.2 and 6.1.4 of the War Thunder specific rules, exploiting game bugs, errors and flaws, and actions that violate the principle of fair play. For full transparency, we're publishing the complete list of these players. The list will be available for 2 weeks following the publication of this news. Thank you for your support and understanding the War Thunder team. Now, the interesting thing, as we said about Sim, is pretty simple. A lot of the ways that guys kind of abuse the systems is either get a bunch of people together on a Discord or queue up into the same match and then basically just play the match, whether it is in a PvP setting or whether it is, in a PvE setting. This used to happen a lot in helicopter battles in the PvP. What you would do is you would have two people who would kind of meet each other in an area of the map, and then one person would kill the other person like 100 times, and then the opposite would happen, and that's how they would farm RP when it came to helicopters, instead of, doing the PvE stuff we have nowadays. And this was also before kind of the KA-50 stuff. You could still do it with the KA-50 stuff, but yeah, it wasn't exactly as easy. In Air Simulator battles, it was slightly different. The major way, which has been pointed out for years that people do this, is they run a bunch of accounts simultaneously, even sometimes like 20 on one system, and they spawn some of them on one side of the battle and a bunch of them on the other. Then what happens is the ones which are run or botting sit on the airfield, and then the player actually comes along to the airfield and bombs the airfield. What this does is gives you, however many kills which are on the airfield and also damage to the airfield. So you get a massive amount of points, and this is something which has been going on for years. And this was something that was used to abuse many different systems in the game. One of them was obviously to feed GE into specific accounts using the refer a friend system. Another one was just to grind the accounts passively to be able to get a bunch of rewards. And then the other one is, of course, the sell accounts, which is another reason why this happens. So overall, it's really positive that this is happening. You know, it's good that they're clamping down on this stuff. They said last year that it was a problem that we were looking into, and let's be honest, it has been a massive problem for years. One of the biggest issues for me when it comes to Air Simulator is the botting in it. And I understand that in other game modes there are cheaters, there are people who are using, I suppose, third-party software to gain an advantage. Happens a lot, but in Air Simulator it was incredibly blatant what was going on, and why I've always been kind of against the idea that the mode should be open for events and dailies and specials and stuff like that. But if they're able to actually get a handle on this stuff, if they're able to actually, be able to deal with this, then the issue is kind of solved. Well, not solved. This stuff is never solved, but at least beaten for another day. And maybe one of the reasons why they opened up the mode to be able to have access to all this stuff was for that reason, was for the reason of trying to capture these guys. And it seems like they got a lot of them, probably not all of them, especially since the last ban waves were a lot larger. But at the end of the day, this one is only specifically targeted at Air Sim. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be using this event to be able to grind, or using Air Sim to be able to grind this event. But just remember, don't do it too passively, because if you do, then what you're going to end up with is on a temporary ban list somewhere. And someone was asking me the other day, why do they do like these big ban waves instead of just individually ban people as you go along? The reason why you do a ban wave is pretty simple. Well, actually, there's a few of them, but let's talk about like the two main ones because they're actually kind of interesting. The first reason you do a ban wave instead of individual bans as you find somebody who is cheating is because if you do bans as you find people, then you have kind of like a bunch of different people who are going to get banned in a very small period of time, but not over like, a large range of time. So you'll have a situation where the people who create the cheats themselves will realize very quickly that their cheats are getting targeted. Whereas if you know what the cheats are and you kind of sit down and just wait for about 2 to 3 months, you could maybe start gaining patterns on who are using these things, what area of the world they're from, and maybe actually track down who's actually selling them or making them compared to who are using them. So it's kind of a cat and mouse strategy. If you ban one player who is using cheats like just, instantaneously, well, he's probably going to go tell the person who made the cheat, and then they're going to change it, so therefore you can't, follow it as easily, find the exploit which Gaijin found. Whereas if you do a massive wave of banning, then it's a lot harder for the cheater to respond, because they obviously don't know what got the thing caught, because it could be several reasons that, things were found over months. So it's just a way of being able to try and keep, it's trying to keep ahead of the game against the people who actually make the software. The other one is chargebacks, which is quite funny. So a lot of services will allow you 3 to 6 months of being able to charge back money from places. So the idea is if you do a large ban wave every 3 or 6 months, which is what War Thunder does, by the way, the people who are cheating will charge back the money that they spent on the cheats because, of course, it didn't work and now they're getting kind of gone after. So if you, as let's say you're a cheat manufacturer, if you get a bunch of chargebacks at the same time, you're going to go broke pretty quickly. Chargebacks are pretty brutal, at least on the internet, and how they work, because you have to pay on top of the, money that you've, on top of the money that you've got to be able to, get it all done. So for me, that is one of the most brutal reasons. And it depends on, obviously, what accounts are used and all of that stuff. But that is 2 solid reasons why they do these kind of ban waves instead of just individual plinky-plonky bans as they go. But I think we can all agree this is positive. You know, the less bots that are in the game, the better, because then the statistical basis of War Thunder can be looked at and can be actually fitted better for human players. We've had a lot of changes over the last few years, which have been because of botting and trying to limit it. And now that there is a more active approach being taken, probably because they have the data now behind all that stuff, it is a much more positive area, and hopefully they can continue with the positive economical changes, so therefore humans can benefit instead of bots. As always though, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd like to thank Schnitzel Stroker, Brendan Quinn, Vilneus, Character Fuel, Carrion Crow, Nicholas Richardson, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, B. Young, Opium Prime, Masonocrat, Lafouche, Alan Hacker, Sem Arslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.